who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that... Hey sports fans, Larry Elder here with another edition of And Another Thing. This happens to be edition number 59. I want to thank all of you for joining me. If you'd like to become an Eldorado, go to LarryElder.com, fill out the form, you'll become an Eldorado. What does that mean? You're going to get a free copy of Michael and Me. That's a feature-length documentary that explores the Second Amendment and where I actually ambushed the director, Michael Moore. And 3 times I asked Mr. Moore how many Americans have used guns to defend themselves each year. We know how many Americans use guns to kill people and how many guns are used to accidentally hurt and kill people, but how many guns are used every year to defend people? Let's compare them. I asked Mr. Moore that 3 times, and 3 times he said, well, you have to get the DVD to find out. Now to edition number 59 of And Another Thing. I want to talk about what's been called Bridgegate. You know what I'm talking about. It's the 4-day period of time when, apparently for political reasons, the administration of the governor of New Jersey, Governor Chris Christie, a Republican, closed down 2 of the 3 or 4 lanes on the George Washington Bridge, the bridge linking New Jersey to downtown Manhattan, and it ensnarled traffic for 4 days. And during that period of time, apparently the mayor of a town called Fort Lee, where apparently the shutdown was directed, sent emails to the port authorities operating New Jersey and New York saying, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? And they kept giving him the runaround. Reporters were even suggesting that perhaps these lanes were closed as a matter of political retaliation. And apparently this Democratic mayor of Fort Lee didn't even want to believe that if you read the emails. Anyway, big kerfuffle. In large part because the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, is considered to be the, quote, front runner for the Republican nomination. Let me just digress for a second. When I say he's considered to be the front runner, he's considered to be the front runner by the mainstream media because the base of the party doesn't like the guy. He's got a squishy position on immigration, a squishy position on gun control, and he hugged Barack Obama during Hurricane Sandy, and many people feel that that hug gave a couple of point boost to Barack Obama over Mitt Romney. Some people even argue that but for the hug, Romney might have pulled this sucker out. I don't think it's that extreme, but you get the point. Anyway, the main screamers keep saying the reason this is newsworthy, the reason this is newsworthy, the reason this is newsworthy is because this is the Republican governor who may become the standard bearer for the Republican Party in 2016. Harump, harump, harump. As I said, the base doesn't like him. This is the mainstream media's analysis of why this is an important story. It's also, in my opinion, an important story because you want to take down Chris Christie. This is the guy who many people fear will be somebody who can cross the aisle. And so even people like Chris Matthews over on MSNBC Hee Haw was essentially bragging about how we've damaged Chris Christie, I'm paraphrasing, and he's the only one who could threaten Hillary in 2016. So for all these reasons, the main screamers thought this was a major, major deal. Is it a legitimate deal? It's a legitimate news story, but does it warrant all the ink that it's gotten? Of course not, especially when you consider a couple of other things have happened this week. One of which is the release of the memoir of the former Secretary of Defense, Robert Gates. The book is called Duty. I haven't read it. I've only read excerpts, but the excerpts I've read are absolutely chilling, including Gates's assertion that President Obama initially believed in the Afghan surge, but shortly thereafter soured on his own strategy, did not believe it, and was, quote, convinced it would fail, end of quote. Now, this is as Gates was signing deployment orders to send men and women in harm's way in Afghanistan. And what Gates is saying, according to the book excerpt that I've read, is that President Obama, as Gates was signing these deployment orders, didn't believe his own strategy. Wow. And we're talking about Bridgegate? Why don't we have a word called Gatesgate? He also made 2 other assertions, both of which are chilling. During the Iraq War, as you know, the war was going badly for a while, and there was debate within the George W. Bush administration what to do. And Bush decided to surge. It was such an unpopular decision. Polls showed most Americans didn't want him to do it. I would dare say that probably half of his administration, his cabinet, didn't want him to do it. His ex-CIA director, George Tenet, at the time out of office, publicly said he didn't think the surge would work. Bush did it anyway. It turned the war around and gave Iraq an opportunity to become a decent country. At the time, both Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama publicly said that they opposed the surge. Senator Obama said that not only did he oppose the surge, but he thought the surge would make things worse. Fast forward to Gates' book. Gates says that both Hillary and Obama admitted to him that their opposition to the Iraq surge was political, not strategic, not military, but political. Wow. So here you have the former Secretary of Defense making allegations against the current Commander-in-Chief during wartime that he didn't believe in his own Afghan strategy, even as men and women were being sent into harm's way, and that as a senator, he opposed an important military approach to the Iraq War, not because he thought it was a bad idea, but because it was good politics. And virtually nothing. The Media Research Center said in the first 24 hours, CBS, NBC, and ABC devoted 17 times more coverage than they have to the IRS scandal in 6 months. This is where we are. Now, one of the other things that occurred to me during Bridgegate, before we wrap this up, is I was asking myself as I'm watching all this coverage in the 107-minute long press conference that Chris Christie gave, and by the way, he fired his deputy chief of staff and accepted the resignations of 2 other people. How many people have been fired over Benghazi? Crickets. How many people have been fired over IRS? Cricket. I don't think anybody has been. Anybody fired over the AP scandal? I don't think so. Anybody fired over Obama going out and giving a speech after speech after speech saying, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor? No. But I want to get back to one more thing about Bridgegate. I asked myself as I was watching all of this coverage. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. If you want to see the full video, got to be in El Dorado. Go to my website, larryelder.com, log in, fill out the form. It'll cost you about $4.75 a month, or about the price of a mocha frappuccino latte at your favorite coffee house. As you can tell, I don't like coffee. I'm a tea drinker. See you next time.